Okay, we will kick things off. Welcome, everybody, to this very special masterclass on how to go from sick to superhuman without a doctor, extreme treatments, or drugs. Really, this masterclass is a bit about my story, about what I went through and the health issues that I had, and how I was able to reverse all of those through the power of detoxification, and also giving you guys actionable tools and tips on what you can start to do. It can be quite confusing, this whole game of health, and where do we start? It's a huge maze of all these different modalities. So I want to simplify it and give you actionable tools and tips that you can take away and use straight away. But I also want to give context on, why do we need to detox? Surely our liver and our kidney, all of these organs should do the job just fine. So I want to give you context as to why we need to do it in the modern environment that we live in. So this is me in 2015, 2016. You can see my lips are quite swollen because I had a histamine reaction. I don't even know how it happened, but my gut was completely ruined, and yeah, it was a tough time. Very grateful for it now, though, but at the time I wasn't. And this is me now, 2014. Just turned 40 in June. Best health I've ever been in. I mean, I've been in good health for a long time, but all of these practices I keep doing, and I keep getting healthier and healthier. So really, the workshop today is how to have the best health, how to feel superhuman at any age, and whether you're in a really bad way or whether you're just looking to optimize. There's definitely something for you in this masterclass. So let's jump in. So this masterclass is for you if any of the following resonates. So you have a chronic health issue that you just can't figure out. You've been on the hamster wheel of health for a long time. You've tried a lot of things, and maybe you're just a bit stuck, but you still know there's things to fix. You suspect that toxins is a factor affecting your health. You've heard a lot about toxins on either social media or wherever, and you think this might be something I need to explore. Maybe you want to fully optimize your health, and there's another level, right? Maybe you're an entrepreneur and you can see your competitors just having more output than you, and you know that you can do it, but you need to get your health to the next level in order to have that level of output. Maybe you just want to feel like your old self again. You reminisce on the times when you had good digestion, you had confidence because you didn't feel anxious all the time, and you just want to get back to being you. This is definitely relevant. Or maybe you're just stuck. You've tried so many things and you think there's nothing's worked, and I've tried everything. Well, I can assure you this is a different avenue that you definitely need to explore. So if any of those resonate, this webinar is definitely for you. So let's get the important stuff out of the way. Disclaimer. So firstly, to state, I am not a doctor. The information contained in this presentation is for education and entertainment purposes only, and is not intended to treat, diagnose, or cure, or prevent any disease. You should always seek the advice of your physician or otherwise qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition before undertaking any diet, exercise, supplement, health program, or other procedures discussed in this presentation. Okay, got that stuff out of the way. Let's jump in. So guys, I appreciate we're all busy. Our attention is being grabbed from every angle nowadays. But if you're taking the time to watch this webinar, I really encourage you to invest in listening to the webinar and turning off all distractions, putting your phone on flight mode. If you don't have much time, feel free to put it on 1.5 speed to get through it. But this information is powerful and can definitely add a lot of value to your life, regardless of whether you're in a bad fix health-wise or whether you're just looking to optimize your health. So, does this sound like you? You wake up, you have a shower, you use your shampoos, your conditioners, your lotions. You obviously got to spray antiperspirant or deodorant on, you're brushing your teeth, you head out the door, grabbing your Starbucks or your Costa or your Pret, wherever you are in the world. You might even hit the gym in your Gymshark or whatever trendy gym clothes. Obviously, if you're out and about, you're having food on the go. Hand sanitizing your hands, of course. Obviously, we've got technology on our wrists, in our pockets. We're grabbing receipts. We're drinking out a plastic bottled water. You might jump in an Uber or a Lyft, and you've got those nice little cones that smell of nature. and then you head home and you hit the hay. Now, this everyday exposures, or everyday life creates everyday exposures. And that is the glyphosate in your food, it's the microplastics in your water, it's the PFAs in your cookware, it's heavy metals and personal care products, EMFs on your smart devices. We now live in a world where we are bombarded with toxicity. Toxicity that our biology has not yet caught up to. So in the last 50 years, over 80,000 synthetic chemicals have been released into the environment. We're mining more heavy metals than ever. We're covered in an electro smog due to all of our smart devices. So now we live in a very different environment to even 20 years ago. And we are bombarded with a high amount of toxins every single day. The Environmental Working Group came out with a study that the average American female is exposed to 168 different chemicals every single morning before she leaves the house. So some quick facts on the state of play as to the environment that we now live in. Now, I would say our ancestors definitely had it good because our ancestors had the same genetics that we do. It takes a long time for evolution to take place for our genetics to change. Our ancestors are exactly the same as we are from a couple of 100,000 years ago. However, the environment that we live in, completely different. So some really interesting stats for you. Obviously, I've talked about 80,000 synthetic chemicals, 2.8 billion tons of metals released every single year into the atmosphere. That is to make petroleum. So heavy metals are in everything. And I had this is a great study, 2,000 times more particle pollution produced from tyre wear than pumped out of the modern car exhaust. So that particulate matter goes up into the air and we end up breathing it in. So we're breathing in heavy metals alongside our personal care products and everything else. A stat by the University of Newcastle, the average person consumes 2,000 tiny pieces of plastic each week. That's the average weight of a credit card, which is absolutely crazy from all these different touch points. The BPA in your coffee cup. Maybe you're buying takeaway food and it's wrapped in plastic wrapping. Maybe you're, whatever it is, anything plastic related, bottled water, all of these different things impacts our body burden of toxicity, hence why having the equivalent of a credit card. And this study blew my mind. This is also by the Environmental Working Group, and they looked at the blood of the umbilical cord, and they tested for 400 different chemicals, and 287 were detected in the blood of the umbilical cord. So we are being literally born into toxicity today, and that accumulates over time, and we basically have a body burden of toxicity that when the cup overflows, symptoms manifest. So this is a really good slide, and this is to give context because you're probably thinking, okay, I get it, everything's toxic, danger, danger, danger. This masterclass is to empower you. So I want to give you actionable things to look at to see if, how toxic could that thing be? So there's some really good apps that you can download to look and scan in certain products to see their burden of toxicity. So there's loads available. I'll put some in the notes below. But these products here, if you are not consciously making better decisions and actively looking for healthier alternatives, you're adding to your body burden of toxicity every day. So when we talk about toxicity, well, what are these toxins, right? Or toxicants? 3 main headlines: chemicals, heavy metals, and EMFs. So let's look at a couple of them just to put them into context. So firstly, chemicals. Chemicals are endocrine disrupting in nature. They bind to our cell receptor sites where our estrogen would bind. So it basically causes us to have high estrogen in the body. It's a fake type of estrogen when these chemicals are inside the body, a xenoestrogen. So it impacts our hormones massively: sex hormones, stress hormones, thyroid hormones. It really impacts the beautiful symphony of how our hormones work. Hence why we see men with testosterone issues, women with fertility issues. All of these different chemicals are impacting how our hormones operate. So let's look at a couple of these different chemicals. So we've got BPA. So BPAs are really much the poster child of these plastics. So you see BPA-free bottles. I tell you now, first tip, they're all garbage because they change BPA for BPS or BPE. All the same thing, all the same stuff. You want to drink out of glass bottled water or stainless steel. PFAs, forever chemicals. When I say forever, I mean forever. So they're very hard to break down in nature. A really good example of this is DDT. And there was loads of advertising around DDT is great for me in World War II. It was used as mosquito repellent and used in everything. So DDT was banned in 1972, and it is still found in the blood of individuals today. So these chemicals are really hard to break down in nature, and when they get into our bodies, they get trapped in fat cells, and they're very hard to get out of the body. It can be done, but it's not as easy as just eat healthy. So anything non-stick, non-iron, non-grease, all of that really convenient stuff is normally has some level of PFAs. Obviously, glyphosate, which is actually an antibiotic that's found in a lot of foods, especially in the US. And then parabens in our lotions and potions, keeping our creams shelf stable for sometimes years, right? If you had a natural product, it's not going to stay shelf stable for too long. Whereas parabens, you'll buy some sunscreen, which firstly I do not recommend, but you buy it from the airport, go on holiday, stick it in your cupboard, and then you come back years later and you can still use it. So that's the setup with chemicals, endocrine disrupting in nature, and really impact our body's ability to have good hormonal levels and really just operate. And as I said, these things bioaccumulate. Then we have heavy metals. Heavy metals, as I said, in our water, in our air, in our food, in our personal care products. Really, we can't avoid them. We're mining heavy metals from the Earth's crust to make petroleum. So anything that's petroleum-based has some level of heavy metals. And these poison enzymes, they poison proteins. Really, they cause a whole host of issues. And I guarantee you, every single person watching this masterclass has some level of heavy metal toxicity. It bioaccumulates in our bones, in our fat cells. So lead accumulates in our bones, mercury, again, in amalgam fillings. These metals like to hang out in fatty tissue. So a lot of people will have amalgam fillings removed and then have health issues because the mercury vaporizes, ends up in the brain, which is a really fatty tissue in the body. And then finally, EMFs, electromagnetic fields, the new kid on the block. Not been around as long as the others, but still has many issues and still delivers many problems. So, we now have 4G up to 5G. Really, what do these electromagnetic fields, these non-native electromagnetic fields do? They basically stop our mitochondria from working, keep our mitochondria underwater, puts our body in sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and really is just draining our energy, to put it simply. So, the problem: toxins hidden in plain sight. There's information about this in media, which is great, but getting it to the mainstream conversation still taking a bit more time. So, look at these headlines: chemical pollution has passed safe limits for humanity. Very dramatic, but there is information out there about what's going on, but it's not yet part of the conversation, and people don't really understand how it impacts them personally. So it's now being talked about, but it's not yet part where everyone is realizing, if I don't actively detox today, I'm going to have some health issues. So I just want to look at correlations here between the rise in certain diseases and the increase in certain types of products or services that we have in culture. So on the left, we look at autoimmune diseases. Everything's going in one direction. Now, obviously, this is only up till 2000, but I can guarantee you it's all gone in the same direction over the last 24 years. And then we look at global plastic production, which again, endocrine disrupting in nature, all of those different chemicals, PFAs, phthalates, parabens, everything's going up. Then we look at seed oil consumption. So again, what we cook our food in, and seed oils are very toxic. Listen to the work of Dr. Kate Shanahan. She's been on my show. She's just released a new book around seed oils. Highly toxic. Again, an increase in the amount of seed oils used in culture in the last 100 years. Heavy metal production, mining of heavy metal, things we need in order to make petroleum and all of that sort of stuff. Again, same direction. And then finally, wireless towers. So how many towers, how much electrosmog are we really saturated in culture? Again, going in one direction. So really, correlation does not mean causation, but I want to highlight to you, why is everyone getting sick? Well, it could be due to the fact that we are in an environment that isn't suited to our biology, and we have this chronic exposure of toxicity that is building up in the body and manifesting in disease. So, when do you know that you need to detox? Like, how would you know? Like, what comes up and for you to think, maybe I need to start cleansing? So firstly, anxiety. This is one of the things that really started with me. I had insane amounts of anxiety, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. I just felt terrible, couldn't look in people's eyes, and didn't want to leave the house. So anxiety or depression, anything mental health related, is a sign of toxicity. Supplements just don't work. You've tried all the different supplements and you're thinking, oh, this is it. I've heard a podcast talking about high dose this or whatever, and you're just not feeling anything. Because the reality is, if your liver's congested, you're not even going to absorb and assimilate those supplements anyway. You feel 4 out of 10 on a good day, and you know what it feels like to be 10 out of 10. You've been there, but you just can't get to that level anymore. Always fatigued, always tired. Your digestion is a disaster. So normally digestion is the first thing to go, and then it sets the cascade for, toxins easily getting into the body and accumulating. So maybe you've got gas, bloating, diarrhea. You can't eat certain foods that you used to eat. You used to be having bread and gluten. Now you can't. I can't eat dairy anymore. It's not the foods. Well, the food qualities can be terrible, and that will be part of the problem. But it's not necessarily the food. It's that your gut can't handle it anymore, and it's because of the toxins in the environment. Your hormones are shot. So, if you're a young man, is your sex drive not where it needs to be? Do you just not have that drive, that life force? You find it harder to put on muscle. That can be a reason to detox. You're never regular. You're constipated, or you've got diarrhea, and it's so unpredictable, and it impacts your life massively because you have to overthink before you leave the house, for example. You wake up inflamed and exhausted. If you don't feel refreshed, that means you're not having good sleep. And if you're not having good sleep, then it's definitely that your body isn't able to get into that parasympathetic state and that rest and digest. And then finally, you might have food and chemical sensitivity, so you can't be in a certain room with certain smells. That new car smell makes you ill. You can't have fragrances on your clothes. All of this sort of stuff. You become really sensitive to random smells and things like that. That can be a sign that you are toxic and you need to look at detoxing. So, what does detox give you? So we're going to jump into the power of detoxification, but I want to talk about what does it give you once you start implementing these strategies that we're going to talk about. So firstly, more energy and vitality. And I think really that's what we all want. I'm going to talk about the mitochondria, and when the mitochondria aren't able to make energy or via ATP or ATP to make energy, that's when they suffer. And really, we need ATP to have it. That is how we run. That's our energy fuel source. And if mitochondria aren't able to make it, we have issues. You're free of pain and inflammation. Like you'll definitely have a joint that causes you issues, right? But when that joint isn't giving you drama, it feels great. You don't have niggles and pains, and you just feel good. You just feel light. You feel nimble and able to just move. You wake up feeling good. You sleep well, right? You have a good night's sleep. You wake up refreshed. You have a healthy libido. And again, this is a big challenge today with men. I had my health issues when I was 30, and my sex drive was insane up until 30. Then it absolutely tanked, and I had the testosterone of an 8-year-old. I've now got it back, but if you have no zest or sexual energy, that's a detoxification issue or hormone issue, which needs to be addressed with detox. Positivity mindset. Here's the thing: we are accumulating toxins from the day we were born, and through this process that I went through, I realized that even before my crisis and where I got sick, I was living life through a negative filter. And actually, when I properly cleansed, it's like my Instagram filter was everything's, positive and great. It's really hard to describe, but I realized that I was holding on to toxins all my life, probably since the day I was born. And when I cleansed and had maintenance protocols, I just think and thought differently. I'm just positive and outgoing and, optimistic, is the only way to describe it. It accelerates your goals. Detox. Here's the thing. The bottom line is, it's what's the goal behind the goal. And really, people detox because they either want to get their health back or they want to be the best version of themselves. They want to launch a business. They want to make more money. Whatever it is, detox will get you there, because when you're not consumed with feeling like crap and you've got that extra 30, 40% in the tank because you're not consumed with, I feel like death, you just crush your goals. You really do. And you just get so much more work done. I mean, put it into context, what time is it now? It's 8 in the evening, and I've been working since 8 this morning, and I still feel great, still feel clear, crisp. And, I feel like I don't need to stop, right? I obviously will, because I understand the work-life balance, but my case in point, I feel good right now because my body's in the right space mentally. Robust digestion, you can eat anything. And here's the thing, I'm not here to preach. I'm very conscious that you have these health gurus out there that you won't eat, like even a slice of, a baguette or whatever. I mean, it's not about that. It's about understanding we live in a world where we have to live in this environment where we have to make certain choices, and it's about making smarter choices and not being restricted to, I can only eat these types of food. So when you detox, you have the flexibility to eat certain foods and to live life on your own terms. Really, it's not about being healthier and holier than thou and I can't eat this sort of food ever again. It's not about that. It's about getting back to a baseline, reducing the toxicity within the body, and then you've got the flex to do what you want to do. And then obviously, as long as you maintain these detox protocols, you've got so much flexibility. And then finally, feel more confident. When you're not bombarded with anxiety and feeling terrible, your confidence just shines. Like you get to another level of confidence because you feel there's nothing holding you back when you know your health is in the best shape it's been in. So there's definitely a boost in confidence when you go through a journey and you go through a proper detoxification journey. So, who am I? Who's this guy telling you about detoxification? So, I want to give you my story, and hopefully it will relate to many of you on the journey that you're on. So, pretty simply, about 10 years ago, coming up to 10 years ago, I crashed. I got really sick, and I was in a situation where really I had a mystery illness and no one could help me. And I remember at the time, I wasn't as developed in terms of my, my mindset back then. So I went straight into victim mode. Like, why am I feeling unwell? Why are my friends fine? Why can't anyone tell me what's wrong? And yeah, I definitely stuck there for a while. On reflection, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But back then I had hormonal issues, digestive issues. I mean, you can see pictures of me. I'd go from like swollen lips to bloated face to just, honestly, no life force in me. And it was tough because I didn't have an answer and I didn't know how to solve the problem. And we'll jump into what I did to get there, but just to set the scene. And then fast forward to today, ultimately I'm symptom free. And I mean, I'm in the best health I've ever been in. I've just turned 40 years old and get to do what I love, which is help people. And, I get to speak all around the world on the topic of detoxification. So yeah, detox expert, certified health coach. Not that it really matters, if I'm honest, because the work that I teach is very unique to my journey. But yeah, that's my story, and what I had to go through. So quickly for context, I have been in the podcast game for a long time, interviewing, in my opinion, world leaders in health and wellness. So if you don't know, I have a podcast. It's called the Ideal Day Podcast. Definitely check it out. These are some of the people that we've had on the show. I mentioned Kate Shanahan. She is amazing. All of these guys are titans in what they do, and this is real health. This is not people selling you a book or their latest whatever. These people genuinely are out to help humanity. So definitely check out these episodes on my show, and actually just check out these individuals as well. They are all amazing people. So what was I suffering from? What got me into that really bad situation where I basically just keeled over? So firstly, there's no one thing that ends up getting you sick. You know, I talk about the toxic bucket theory. We basically have this bucket that is getting filled up with toxins slowly over time, and then when it overspills, that's when we get symptoms. So pharmaceuticals, heavy metals, chemical solvents, molds. When I look back in my life, I had loads of antibiotics. I ate crap food as a kid. I lived in moldy houses. I had mercury fillings. The thing that broke the camel's back for me was having mercury fillings removed, and then the symptoms just hit me so hard. But again, I didn't even realize it at the time. It's only on reflection. So as I said, I was down to 3 or 4 foods, brain fog, anxiety. My testosterone was terrible. Just chronic fatigue, hair loss. I had bald patches in my head, constipation, diarrhea, the whole thing. And it was tough. I mean, it was a really tough time. And really, where did my journey start? I started, I think as most of us do, and we're programmed to do, going to the doctor, the GP or the PCP in America, and saying, "Doc, I just don't feel right. My confidence is gone, my libido's gone. I can't look at people in the eye. I can't eat food. I'm anxious." And their solution was to give me steroid cream for the hair falling out, and to give me antidepressants at a lower dose for my anxiety. And at the time, I knew that wasn't for me. So I actually took the steroid cream, and actually it did work. But again, it didn't solve the problem, because as soon as I stopped using it, the hair would disappear again. So really, that was my journey. I basically keeled over. And again, when you connect the dots looking back, I realized I never had good digestion, even as a teenager. I was slowly getting more anxious. Things were slowly creeping up, and then the bucket was filled up, and everything came crashing down. So I did the allopathic journey. Then I moved into functional medicine. And again, we'll talk about the differences between all these different modalities. And I was there for a while, probably saw 10 different practitioners, and didn't get me anywhere in terms of moving me forward. Now, you learn a little bit along the way from each practitioner, so I want to give them that, but it didn't solve the problem. So I basically went on my own journey, and this is the stuff I tried. I mean, oh my goodness, I tried so many things. I was in a really lucky position because I had a pretty good job, I earned good money, and I didn't have any dependents, didn't have a mortgage, wasn't tied down. So I banked everything I earned. I just threw it into testing and new machines and retreats, and anything I heard of, I basically invested in it. So I spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on my health. And this is some of the stuff I tried. And I'll be honest, all of this stuff is super powerful, but on its own won't really solve the problem of what we're dealing with today in our environment, which is toxicity, an accumulation of toxicity in our bodies, which is manifesting in disease. So even though this stuff is great, and if you haven't heard of this stuff, Google it, have a little dig. All of this stuff is powerful, and if I do this stuff now, insanely powerful, really hits home. But did it solve the problem for me? The answer is no. So when we talk about solving our health problems, we think the root causes are, well, it's my digestive issues, and I've got anxiety, and I've got skin issues, and my hormones are off, and I've got low energy. We look at that as the root cause, but actually it's not. Actually, what the root cause is, it's the chemicals, it's the heavy metals, it's the molds in our environment. And then it's manifesting in this organ stagnation, parasites, mitochondrial dysfunction. That's what's being created in the body. So these symptoms aren't the reason why you're not doing well. And here's a really good analogy of that. So the root causes here, it's the industrial chemicals, it's the chemical solvents, the heavy metals, it's the EMFs. We also have to take into consideration stress. And, it's not just toxins. Toxins come in many forms. It comes in like physical toxins, like chemical, but also emotional toxins, stressful environments, stressful work, stressful relationships. That creates nervous system dysregulation. Then we get the manifestation of parasites, which are bioremediators. We get mitochondrial dysfunction. So this is the root causes of why we are getting sick as a culture today. And then that is manifesting in hormonal issues, digestive problems, inflammation, autoimmunity, anxiety, depression. That's the manifestation of all of these things below the surface. So I want to quickly touch upon two different theories that are out there. You may have seen this stuff on social media. I've posted once or twice about it. Germ theory versus terrain theory. So Louis Pasteur and Anton Béchamp. And really the context is around, if we had a goldfish and the goldfish started to have symptoms and was unwell, do we medicate the fish and give the fish pills to get better, or do we just clean up the tank and clean the environment to where the fish lives? So that's the distinction between these two different theories. And I very much sit in the terrain theory camp, that ultimately it's our terrain, our internal terrain, that determines our susceptibility to disease. So if we are toxic, firstly in our external environment, but also in our internal environment, that's the biggest determinant on whether we're going to get sick and manifest disease. 100% every time. So really, when we think about detoxification, it's about cleaning up our terrain. And when our terrain is clean, that's when the body knows what to do. The body is a self-healing mechanism, and we don't need to tell the body how to heal itself. The body knows, but we need to give it the right environment, right? The goldfish knows how to be a goldfish, needs to be in nice, clean water in order to do that. So, this is the most gruesome slides we're going to get this evening. Apologies if any of you are squeamish, but I want to show you what happens when we have a poor terrain. So when the body starts to accumulate these toxins, there's three layers to it. Firstly, there's toxins in circulation, so in the blood. Then there's toxins in the fat tissue, and then there's toxins in deep storage in the organs. And as we accumulate these toxins over time, we start to have these basically defense mechanisms where the body starts to encapsulate and bind up these toxins to keep them out of circulation. So we have mucoid plaque, which is an overproduction of mucus due to many reasons, lack of minerals, but it becomes a hotbed for these toxins, and it's a rubbery, thick tar-like substance in our large and small intestine. We then have gallstones, which we think primarily are in the gallbladder, but actually primarily are in the liver. And again, everything lands in the liver. The liver is the powerhouse of detoxification. And when the liver is struggling, detox takes a back seat. So what happens is these toxins get encapsulated in cholesterol and bile salts in order to take them out of circulation. This causes a sluggish liver and then causes a whole host of issues. And then finally, parasites. Now, I'm sure you've seen on TikTok and Instagram all of these shocking parasite images of things coming out of people's bottoms. Here's the thing. Parasites are not the bad guy. Parasites are bioremediators that are there to do a cleanup operation. So we invite them in to, well, they naturally will come in through food and even the air, depending on where you are. And when our terrain is toxic, they start to bioremediate. They start to eat the heavy metals, the chemical solvents, trying to bring balance back to the body. However, as they proliferate, they actually cause us symptoms as well. Now, I also want to touch upon the kind of second layer of toxin storage, and that's toxins, chemical solvents, storing themselves in the fats. So toxins in our environment, man-made, are lipophilic, which means they get into the body and they like to hang out in fat. So you've got hydrophilic, lipophilic. Hydro is water, lipo is fat. And these are some really interesting studies to show that environmental toxins impact our mitochondria. So fat, all toxins go into the fat cells. Cells are where we have mitochondria. Mitochondria produce ATP. So when our fat cells are full of these environmental toxicants, it basically causes mitochondrial dysfunction, which is lack of energy and pretty much the cause of pretty much every disease today. So again, it's just to show that what these toxins in the environment are doing. And I will definitely go and check out these studies. The PMID numbers are there for you guys to check out. But essentially, we get stagnation in our fat cells and we get stagnation in our organs. So essentially the whole system, our whole body just can't operate, and the terrain isn't ideal for the body to thrive. So what's an overload of toxins doing to us? So we kind of touched upon this earlier, but I want to kind of hit home with it. It's anxiety, it's depression, it's fatigue, brain fog, it's poor digestion. I could eat this food and I can't eat this food anymore. It's being sensitive to chemicals, having sleep issues, low sex drive, having a dysregulated nervous system. So here's a really good example of a dysregulated nervous system. Walking down the street and you have that thought of, oh my God, where's my keys? Right? And you're tapping around. Now, if your nervous system is dysregulated, you'll go from 1 to 100 and into panic. Your heart will go, you'll start sweating. If your nervous system is regulated, you'll just be like, oh, okay, interesting. Oh, they're here. You're very relaxed, very calm, very composed. So that can happen when you are toxic. So, set the scene there. Now let's look into what is the right approach to healing. And then we want to jump into, right, how do we actually start taking detox strategies into our daily lives? So firstly, I would say there are 3 main approaches to healing today. Firstly, we have the allopathic model. So this is modern medicine. So your GP or your PCP. And this is medications, it's procedures, it's interventions. And this modality is seen as the norm, right, in culture. That's what we're born into and what we are taught. But this is a very suppressive way of healthcare. It's suppressing symptoms. It's take this pill for the symptom to go away. And it suppresses until you have a blowout and all of a sudden, oh, you got to get your gallbladder removed, right? And they know how to do that. They love a procedure, right? However, listen, every single modality has its place, and what it's really good at is crisis management. So, I've said this before, if I break my leg or my arm, I'm not going to go meditate and, sing Kumbaya and shine red lights on my broken limb. I'm going to go to the hospital and get it fixed, right? So everything has its place. Next up, we have holistic medicine. Again, amazing, has its place. Many amazing healing modalities, a lot of which I've used myself. But is it solving the root cause of the problem that we're now experiencing today in culture? These toxins in the environment. So we have biohacking, right? And I love it. I speak at a lot of the biohacking events all around the world. Functional medicine, doing loads of lab tests, spending thousands and thousands of pounds. And I did this, and it's like, right, okay, you're low in 10 different markers. Cool, here's 10 different supplements, right? Which might solve the problem in the short term, but do you want to be on those supplements forever? Is that the solution? Extreme diets, carnivore, vegan, which I'd never recommend, ever. Carnivore, again, it's a tool. You can use it, but is it solving the problem? You find a lot of people doing the carnivore diet, they feel great and they promote it all day long, but, what if they try have a piece of cake? It would send them into absolute dismay, right? Because their body can't handle it. So it's not solving the root cause. It's suppressing it, or it's a substitute rather, because, I feel great if I just avoid all these things, but you're in a very narrow bandwidth of what you can and can't do. And then there's quantum healing, and again, homeopathic stuff. All of it is super valuable, but in my opinion, it's not going to solve the problem completely. So this is where my work comes in, and it's all around root cause detoxification. And this is really supportive of our bodies, knowing that our bodies are self-healing mechanisms, and we give our body the right condition, the body's going to do great. It's removing the congestion. It's replenishing the mineral stores. It's cleaning up the terrain, right? We talked about the terrain, the congestion, the toxins in the fat tissues. It's also fixing your environment, right? Healing your gut. There's all these different elements. Getting to the root cause of why you have these symptoms is really what we look to do. So we aim to be supportive through detoxification. So really, the body's a self-healing mechanism given the right conditions. You think about a plant, a seed. Plant a seed in the forest. It's got sunlight. It's got amazing energy around it, life force. It will grow into a big tree. Put that seed in a crack in the concrete. It will grow, but it's not going to grow to the level that it could grow. Our bodies are the same. We don't need to tell our bodies how to heal. If you cut your finger, you don't need to tell your finger how to heal. You just need to give the body or the finger the right environment to heal. So you would rest the finger, you would eat better, you'd sleep more, you'd bandage it up. However, if you cut your finger and then you went rock climbing and then you went digging in the dirt and you didn't decide to wash your hands, you didn't bandage it up, you're not creating the right condition for the wound to heal. So when we think about detoxification, we are creating the right condition, the right terrain for the body to do what it knows it has to do and wants to do. Hence why it's a self-healing mechanism. So, where can we start? So I want to jump into some entry-level strategies that you can do straight away, which are going to have a real big impact on your energy levels, how you feel. And this stuff is invaluable. And I really want you to take screenshots, Google, research all of this stuff. It's very impactful, can definitely improve your health. So firstly, let's look at the starter pack. The detox starter pack. So what can we do? So firstly, healing your gut. Most of us in the Western world today have some form of leaky guts. Glyphosate's in our foods. We overconsume seed oils. We've had antibiotics. If we don't heal and seal the gut, it really impacts us downstream. Causes autoimmune issues, causes inflammation. So we really need to focus on healing and sealing the gut. So we can do this by removing certain foods, adding in foods that are good gut healers and sealers like meat stock and bone broth. But that's something you definitely want to focus on. One of my favorite things to do is a sauna, or as the people in Finland call them, a sauna. I recently got back from Finland. I spoke at an event there, and Finland, I think every year is voted the happiest nation on earth. Happiest nation. And they are super, super chill people. It was great being there. For every man, woman and child, there's a sauna in Finland. It's part of their culture. They sauna as a family. They have work meetings. Instead of being out on the golf course, they're in the sauna. Sauna is amazing for removing those chemicals out of the fat tissues and cleansing the body. So definitely look to sauna. There was a really interesting study that saunaing 5 days a week reduced all-cause mortality by up to 40%. So saunaing is definitely impactful. Having an inner work practice. So again, we talk about the nervous system. This is something that most people don't look at when it comes to detox. You have to look to rebalance the nervous system, and having an inner work practice really helps rebalance that. Fermented foods, super impactful. And I would emphasize home fermented foods because store-bought is pasteurized and garbage. Again, this isn't new stuff. This is what, as a culture, or globally as cultures, we always had fermented food. So having that in your diet is super impactful and can really help with detoxing. Things like EMF protection. Just because it's common to have your phone in your pocket does not mean it's normal. And this is something that a lot of people struggle with today, is electromagnetic sensitivity. So really, it's really important to have EMF protection. Top line, distance is your friend. So you want to make sure that you're not bombarding yourself with EMFs all the time. Remineralizing the body. When I was talking about heavy metals, because there's so many heavy metals in the environment, heavy metals displace minerals. So just by adding in mineral drops, we have a nice gentle detox of heavy metals. And as I said, everyone watching this masterclass will have some level of heavy metal toxicity. Finally, I want to talk about supporting your circadian rhythm. This is really important because we spend 93% of our time indoors, and getting outdoors in the morning in natural light is really important. Wearing blue blockers in the evening, such a game changer. You wouldn't believe. And actually, no, the final one is obviously easy fix, just changing out all of your chemicals in your home, your external environment, so personal care products, cleaning products. There's loads of really healthy alternatives nowadays that you can buy on even on Amazon. So definitely look to invest in those. Just want to drill into EMFs. As I said, common doesn't equal normal, and this is the icing on the cake in terms of how toxins react in our bodies. So if we're heavy metal toxic, these EMFs will impact because, again, electromagnetic fields interact with metals. So really, distance is your friend. Look to get some EMF blocking or mitigation technologies. There's loads out there. You've got AirS Tech, you've got Blue Shield, check them out. But again, we really need to be dialed in that these convenient devices, which add so much value to our lives, used in the wrong way can cause a lot of health issues. So basically, distance is our friend. I then want to look at binders. Binders are amazing. They're negatively charged substances that they're like heat-seeking missiles that bind onto positively charged substances in the body, like heavy metals, chemical solvents, and all of that sort of stuff. So just having a daily binder is really impactful. The work of Weston A. Price, which I love, he noted that the Aboriginal people had these little satchels with clay water, and they would dunk the food in the clay because they realized that not only did it bind to certain toxins in the environment, it also gave them minerals. Certain clays, like zeolites and bentonite clay, have something called ketonic exchange, where as it grabs onto heavy metals, it donates a mineral to you. So definitely look at all these different binders. Again, do your own research, find which one resonates with you. My personal favorite is Takasumi, which is basically activated bamboo charcoal. Very powerful, been used since the medieval times in Japan, and was used in cleaning water, cleaning wounds, even cooking. So having a daily binder, my goodness, very impactful. So there's some really good starter points in terms of what you can do in order to start to reverse what's going on with your, either low energy levels, fatigue, hormonal issues, whatever's going on for you. I want to look at now, maybe you've tried other cleansing programs or health programs before, and, I want to jump into maybe why they didn't work for you. I would say firstly, they didn't address the root cause, right? If you're just taking more supplements, that's not going to solve the root cause of the problem. It's the stagnation in the organs. It's the accumulation of toxins in the fat tissues. So we've really got to look at the root cause of what's going on. Did they focus on restoring the terrain? So again, our terrain is a really good determinant on our susceptibility to disease. So it's all about healing the terrain of our bodies. Maybe they didn't break up congestion. The liver is the powerhouse of detox, as I've said, and Dr. Edward Group of Global Healing Solutions, his products are amazing. He says regularly he believes that 80% of the global population have livers really functioning at 20% capacity. And that's because of the congestion from the seed oils and all the chemicals. So really breaking up that congestion is a process. They didn't look at restoring mitochondrial function. Powerhouse of our cells produces ATP. If we don't have functioning mitochondria due to either toxins in the cell or EMFs in our environment, it's really difficult to heal and have energy. Maybe they didn't look at rebalancing the nervous system. Again, if we're in fight or flight the whole time, the body's not even going to feel safe enough to release the toxins. So this work has to be done. We have to look at bringing ourselves back into balance, that autonomic nervous system back into balance rather than being in fight or flight. I'd also say, maybe they didn't have the right adequate program support. I see a lot of these programs that are, get the information and off you go, right? I feel with any transformation, you've got to have some level of accountability and be handheld through a process. I think that's really important because, you guys have your own goals and ambitions. You're not meant to be experts in this stuff, right? So that can sometimes be an issue when you don't feel you have enough support in the area of trying to heal yourself. And finally, do they have long-term sustainability? After you've gone through a cleanse, how to have certain maintenance protocols to stay healthy, right? Because the deal is, it's not about cleansing the body and then getting sick again a year later. It's about cleansing the body and having robust health there from there on out, because you've got the power and the knowledge to stay healthy. So this is the Detox Blueprint Framework. This is my program that we have people go through all around the world, and really this is what I went through and figured out firstly, and was able to solve my issues. And I've taken people through this same framework and got the same results. Really, as you can see here, the goal is about rebalancing the terrain and mitochondrial function, and we do that through these 4 pillars. I'll briefly talk about these so you have context, but firstly it's about re-establishing the foundations. So if we are constantly poisoning ourselves, there's no point detoxing. So we have to look at fixing our external terrain. Really important. We have to also look at healing and sealing the gut, because if we don't do that, there's kind of no point in trying to cleanse the body, because, as we know, all disease starts in the gut. I think it was Hippocrates has said that. So we have to do the groundwork before we even look at doing the heavy cleansing, right? Daily detox disciplines, remineralization of our cells. So real foundational work that we've got to do, changing out personal care products. But when we do this stuff, you see an instant boost in energy and vitality, just doing the basics. Restore elimination pathway. So again, we talked about the stagnation in the organs. In a systemic way or systematic way, we have to cleanse these organs with a variety of different protocols. There's never just one protocol, one thing. And as you guys know with health, there's no just one thing either. It's not just about detox, right? You guys know that. It's about having a healthy lifestyle, community, good sleep, good nutrition. But if we don't have this pillar, the pillar of detox dialed in, all of the other stuff is going to really, really struggle. So cleansing all the organs in a certain order with certain protocols is how we cleanse those organs. And think about a car engine that's never been serviced, full of crap and congestion, and when you clean it out, it runs like a dream. We talked about resetting the nervous system, getting out of fight or flight. It's not about being in rest and digest, it's about being center. And also looking at energetic work. We have a life force and aura around us, and sometimes we need to balance that as well. And I give guidance on different practitioners to work with on that. And really getting us into rest and digest and reconnecting or reestablishing a good relationship with our technology. Our technology, as convenient, these things are so convenient, but my goodness, they've caused so many problems in our culture. So it's about reestablishing that relationship as well. And then finally, rebalancing, because ultimately once the terrain is rebalanced, the mitochondria is working, we need to rebalance certain things like parasites, like candida, removing mold, getting the remaining heavy metals out. All of that stuff is rebalancing, but also having maintenance strategies, because really the goal here is to be healthy long term. It's not about feeling better for a little bit and getting sick again. So this is the framework of what we do here at the Detox Blueprint, taken hundreds of people through this very framework, and we've seen some pretty insane results. I'll share some of them with you now. This is James. James is awesome. He was in such a bad way when he came to me, chemical sensitivities, was really bedbound for most of the time and couldn't do what he loved, which is wakeboarding, being with his family. And he did the work, and over time he was able to get back to wakeboarding and doing what he wanted to do, having good bowel movements each day, not having fatigue. So really good story, James getting back to full health. Jeff, singer-songwriter, had fatigue, digestive issues, and actually creativity issues. Wasn't able to create or get into that flow state. Detox definitely got him there with that. And actually, when you fully cleanse, your mind works on another level. You're very good at getting into creative flow states. As I said to you, it's evening and I'm just in an amazing flow right now doing this masterclass for you guys. So again, super impactful, and Jeff's music is awesome. We had Jack. Jack was dealing with social anxiety, feeling sick, just feeling really low energy. And Jack's young. Jack's in his 20s, and I'm seeing more and more young men in their 20s coming to me with these types of issues. I kind of, in a way, feel blessed I got sick when I was 30, because I had the money and the opportunity just to bankroll it, to figure it out. And it took me 5 years to do it, but I was able to do it. Whereas if I'd got sick when I was 21, no money, different scenario. So it's sad I see this happening more and more for younger men. But luckily, there are people like myself and other coaches in the space that, have solutions for people who are suffering with toxicity. So we were able to get his digestive issues sorted and ultimately get him feeling good and not anxious. Finally, this is Alex. Alex, really good guy based in London, entrepreneur, runs his own business. And again, he needs to be 10 out of 10, pretty much 6 days a week, right? And when you're in that startup field and that energy, you have to deliver. You cannot have days off. You cannot be shooting at 4 out of 10. So he had digestive issues, and he had that kind of afternoon slump that he had to really force his way through. And now he's absolutely smashing it. 10x energy all day, and he can adapt to stress a lot better. We talked about that fight or flight, losing your keys kind of response. He's a lot more cool, calm, and collected now, and absolutely amazing student who's gone through the program. And then these are loads of other quotes and testimonials. Again, give this a pause and you can read them. But again, loads of people who've gone through the program, really feeling the results of going through a detox. So really, to summarize, what does detoxing offer for our health? Superhuman energy. As I said, I went from sick to superhuman. It really does give you that superhuman energy. Having a sharp mind. My mind is just, my mind is lit all the time. I don't need coffee. I hear this all the time from my students. They don't need to be stimulated by all these different drinks. They feel good all the time. You can adapt to stress easier. You have that youthful sex drive, right? We all have access to it given the right condition, right? And we've all been there, right? So you have access to that. If this is open, if you're open to this, you have a deeper connection to source, whatever that is for you. If you're religious or you believe in the universe, that definitely heightens as a byproduct of detox. Regular digestion. And as I said, just feeling good, feel positive, feel optimistic, ambitious. A cleaner filter is what definitely happens through detox. So, confession to you all, this process is definitely not for everyone. 100%. It takes work. It takes commitment. You're obviously seeing if you look here, these are all the amazing results of people that put the work in. It takes a lot of work. It takes some commitment. So really, I hope you've gained value from what we've said thus far in the talk. And I think at this point, there's kind of two paths, right, that you can take after hearing this information. I've given you pretty much the framework that I take my clients or students through, proven framework. You have that now, so you can go ahead and feel free to use it and do your research and do all the trial and error and throw all of your energy at it, and you can work it out yourself. And you can definitely go for that. As I said, it took me 5 years of pain, but that's definitely an option for people. The other path B, is continuing the conversation and seeing if detoxification through this program can help you. Having the roadmap, having the framework of how to cleanse, what protocols to do at what time, that's super powerful. And that gets you to whatever the goal behind the goal is for you, gets you there faster than working out on your own. So there are two paths for you that you can take. And obviously for me, you going down path B and continuing the conversation, I think is going to get you there sooner. But really, it's down to whatever resonates with you. So this program is for you if any of the following resonate. So firstly, you have a chronic health issue that you want to resolve now, not spending years working out. You want to resolve it right now. You've tried all the biohacks, the supplement stacks. You've tried it all and you've got nowhere. You might have seen mild improvements, but you're still not where you need to be with your health. You want to heal quickly. You don't want this to take 5 years. You want this to be 5 months or even less, right? And that's what this framework in the Detox Blueprint gives you. Maybe you're overwhelmed with the massive information out there in the marketplace and you just want a simple roadmap. You know that you give me instructions, I'll follow it to a T. If that's you, this is definitely for you 100%. Maybe you're looking for accountability and support through the whole process. It's a lonely road being unwell. Maybe you want to be part of a supportive community of people all going through the same process and you're held accountable. So you make sure you get it done and you've got that support if you have any questions or you just need that, support getting through a particular protocol. This is for you if you're serious about your health and you realize that health is the true wealth, 100%. Also, if you're willing to invest in yourself and your future success, any successful individual out there has invested in themselves in many different ways. So that's something to consider. And finally, are you willing to do the work? That's really important. If you're willing to do the work and roll up your sleeves, this is definitely for you. So I want to thank you for taking the time. It's been great educating you guys on my story, why it's important to detox, why we need to detox, and how the detox blueprint can help you get the results that you want to get in regards to your health, so you can get back to doing what you want to do, being an amazing dad, running a business, crushing your goals. So if this resonates with you, let's pick up the conversations in the DMs and continue dialogue. You can drop me a DM at IdealDayAdam and we can pick it up there. Thanks again, and we'll speak soon.